Boom, there it is, guys. What's up? That was super loud. I'm coming at you. If you guys were sleeping, you are awake now. What's up? I am Jeremy Johnson from Jeremy's World 10 and also Welltec Designs. And today we are back up in the attic with another special guest to follow up. Rachel, it's going to be a tough one. Let's see if my guest today can do it. I have known my guest for like 2 or 3 months now. And maybe we'll add like a couple years in front of that. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But super special guest today here in the attic. And I have over from me, this is like, we're going back pre-Weldtec. We're giving you guys the full intro of how Welltec Designs began. So if you are crazy out there and want to start your own business, you know, it's just by chance sometimes that it happens. So today, no more. I have my buddy, Tommy Kraft, in the attic. What's up, Tommy?
What's up, Jeremy? What's up? Thanks for having me.
All right. So this is actually, we're going to laugh at this. Watch that. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the end of this. We're going to have some outros in this because, as I said, we're new to this and completely retarded, but we're having a good time up in here. So we were talking, and now we're going to talk about it again. So anyways, we want to talk about how Welltec Designs began. A lot of people always ask is how Welltec Designs began. And I'm going to have to say it's going to go back and we're going to talk about to him because he is one of the person that got me started in this. And I don't know whether to thank him or kick him in the balls because as he's talking about retiring in a couple years, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what that word means. But I met Tommy going to school. And we were actually in the police academy. So
we were.
So tell me, you were back in the police academy, guys. You heard that right.
Yes.
Police academy.
Jeremy wanted to be a cop.
Could you imagine me a cop? Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that'd be good or bad. Like, if I'd just be an asshole or if I would just be like, yeah, dude, like, that's stupid. Like, come on, just don't do that again. You know, like, who knows? Because sometimes I'm like, I don't know, but I don't know if I could deal with stupid people.
Yeah, it's difficult nowadays.
I mean, that was what the hard, you know, and, you know, I would love to, we'll get into that and talk more about that. But what I wanted to talk to you about was how we first began. So in the police academy, what made you want to get into the police academy?
Well, I had some family friends that were sheriffs out of Lemon Grove, and they would bring their sheriff car home sometimes. And I'd be like, wow. I think I want to be a cop. Ever since I was a little kid, I got a little picture of me dressed as like a CHP officer at Halloween. And, you know, I just always liked guns and I like to watch cops and all that and chips. So I just kind of started looking into it when I was about 18, 19 years old. And I found out that there's a police academy you can go to at Grossmont College.
I figured, hell, why not?
Hell,
dude,
yeah.
Harvard on the hill.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy?
G-house.
I know. You know what's crazy is I found out too that now your first 2 years of Grossmont are free.
Yes.
So
my
I'm
daughter's doing that right now. Yep.
Dude,
yep.
Where was that when I mean, don't get me wrong. I think when I was going there, it was like $13 a unit, you know? So, I mean, I don't know if that dates me a little bit, but
yeah, it probably does.
So that was pretty cool. And you know, same, I think with me, I just had always looked up to the police. I thought what a great job. It was a respectable job. I thought I wanted to really do good. And I thought that that would be the best way to do it. So I actually went to Grossmont. I got an associate's degree in administration of justice. And then to further that, I joined the police academy. And that's where I met this guy. And that's where then it all started. You know, we kicked it off. You know, we were friends
right away,
from the beginning.
Yeah, same personality for sure.
I think there was a lot of people that took it super serious. And I don't want to say that I didn't take it serious, but I want to say some of the instructors made it difficult to take it super serious. It was like,
I know.
I mean, what is your take on that?
It was the same, and it's crazy. I see those guys every once in a while. None of them are cops anymore. None of them do any of that stuff anymore. So it's funny when I run into them. I just laugh. But yeah, it was paramilitary. It was serious, and you and I would sit there and laugh at them because it was so funny, some of the stuff. But
I'm like, yeah, I could do this, and I'll do it quicker than, you know, some of the other people. And it was like, and they would get pissed at it. They were like, what? I remember, I won't forget this. I remember doing the tear gas, I think it was, out at the Marine Corps base.
The CSCN gas house,
Yeah, so we had to go in and, you know, spend so many minutes in there, and then you'd come out. And I remember coming out of it being like, dude, that was nothing.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, then do it again.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like, all right, no problem. So I remember I had to stay in there exceptionally long.
Without your mask on, right?
Yeah, no, that's what it was. He made me go back in without the mask.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
And so made me go back in without the mask and be like, okay, now. And I still did it for quite some time.
Yeah.
Which that caused me to get extra pepper spray.
Yes.
And I never forget that. That was horrible.
Oh, it's the worst feeling. It's like taking Tabasco and just pouring it in both your eyes.
I can see now, I'm like, why they do that.
Yeah.
It's extremely important because you realize that if somebody came at you with it, like just how much it completely enables you.
Right.
I mean, I probably lost vision for a good half an hour.
Oh, at least, yeah.
And I mean, I'm just sitting there like rinsing out my eyes and it does not go away.
Nope, it didn't. Remember the one guy that passed out in the bathroom, I think it was.
No.
Oh, yeah, he passed out because he was in so much pain.
Yeah. I mean, and there was probably a good 30 plus people, 40 people in our class, I would say, in our, so, and some of them were, and it was neat because a lot of them came from all aspects of life. I mean, there was like firemen.
Oh, yeah.
People that had gotten straight out of the military. And I would say we were some of the younger people in there because I had just turned 21.
Me too.
So I would say, there was probably a slight, arrogance as well as immaturity level that helped me and then was also probably a slight disadvantage. And then my personality probably just kind of kicked me in the balls because I was just like, I can do it. I can do it. Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. So
I remember. That was funny. Yeah. I remember our graduation when your whole entourage showed up. Like everybody from high school showed up, right?
Yes.
And he had this crowd, and here we are all trying to be all serious. And we got our white gloves on, got our tie, we're in uniform marching up, and he's got this entourage, screaming, Jeremy, Jeremy.
I mean, if you're going to graduate from the police academy and your friends are all hoodlums, they're all coming because they're going to be like, dude, I showed up there at the police academy when you graduated. You can't arrest me.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, no arresting me. Like, I get at least one, get out of jail free cards.
That was hilarious.
And I remember that it was like super, everybody would get like a clap and then it was me and it was like, and
I'm like, what, like whistles and bells and. There was one dude I remember he had big old long hair and he was cheering for you.
And that's and then it was probably at that point they're like, dude, this guy can never be a cop.
No.
Make sure they were like, hey, make sure you put my name on your application. I'll give you a good word. And they'd be like, dude, no, just no. So, which then after that was definitely a lot of fun. And then I started going through the hiring processes with a bunch of different departments. But then at that same time, you suckered me into work.
I did.
Because during that time you were doing, what'd you have going on?
I was an apprentice for the Ironworkers Union, and my dad had been an ironworker for 30 years. He'd been a welding instructor at El Cajon Valley High School since the mid 80s with ROP. And he taught it after work every night.
And good money too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he was doing well. He was supporting us, and what me and my brother and sister were doing in college and all that stuff and putting us through baseball and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, and then I said, well, hey, my dad said, you don't have a job right now with benefits. You need to do something. I was working at a bank, I think. I was a teller at Wells Fargo or something.
You were.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
I remember, I think you showed up one time and you're like, nice, like to change in your nice suit. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyways, but yeah.
It was a job, man. And I was just my dad's like, no, you need medical benefits and get into ironworking and teach you how to weld. And here I was. My dad was a welding instructor. I didn't know how to fucking weld. I mean, it was like, this is ridiculous. Let's go. Let me figure this out. So my dad taught me everything I knew. So
Austin, you got some tape? We're going to tape his hands to the table.
No tapping.
He's going to sit there and we're going to be like, dude, is someone playing the piano? No. They say people that talk with their hands beat their wife, So
no, she beats me.
That's the thing. So then you told me about it. You were doing it. You're like, dude, you should do this. And I want to say at this time, minimum wage was probably like maybe $5 an hour.
Shoot, if that.
I mean,
yeah, it was bad.
You know, so I remember you telling me about this and being like, dude, you start out at like $12 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, so I got in, went to work. We were both working for C&B Steel.
Yep.
Doing the apprenticeship program. Actually, no. I started out at Hafer Steel doing rebar.
Oh.
And you were at the airport expansion.
Right.
And I remember being like, this is horrible. This sucks. See if you can get me a job over there.
Yeah, I begged my dad.
Yes.
He was the foreman, yeah.
So I left Hafer and then went to C&B and then was just a welder punk for like a year while the airport expansion was going on. And that was, I mean, that was just, it was,
Remember sitting on the end of a grinder for hours. And then he taught me how to put a little earbud in our, because we weren't allowed to have earbuds, you know, we had these little AM radio
see,
things.
I'm teaching him bad things already.
and he's like, oh, you got to put it in the right. So when you're welding the left and the building inspector walks by, he won't see it in your right ear. I remember that. So I'm like,
teaching bad habits, because it was monotonous. You would be sitting at a point on a beam, grinding these rat holes. Like they wanted everything perfect.
Yep.
I mean, just smooth as glass. And I mean, you'd spend all day grinding there. And I remember during the winter then, it was like we'd preheat the beams just to get them warm so that we weren't just sitting on the cold steel. You know, and it was just like, and I remember you were listening to Howard Stern all the way at the time. It was
Howard Stern the whole time.
You know, back before Howard Stern regretted everything that he's done in the past. Now, you'd see that guy, he's like, oh, I can't believe I did any of that. And you're like, man, you were just funny back in the day. Why don't just leave it at that?
Yeah, it's true.
And now everybody just wants to be PC and can't believe they did that when it was some of the funniest stuff ever. I mean, I personally am like, who cares? I mean, if you are offended by it, don't listen to it. If you like it, watch it, enjoy it, and just shut up.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's it. So we both went through a 3-year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Graduated the apprenticeship. And I want to say what year? 97, I graduated the apprenticeship.
I didn't finish the 6th period apprenticeship because I got hired by the county marshal's office as a bailiff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I ended up finishing that off. And I stayed in school and continued going to school I took additional criminal justice courses, and then I kind of started taking some business courses myself during that time. I really enjoyed just school. I just wanted to be smart. One day I'm going to be smart. But then in 97, I graduated the Ironworkers apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
So then you went on to being a bailiff.
Yeah.
So tell me what year was that then?
That was 97 to about 99. I was a bailiff down the county courthouses, juvenile and traffic. And
how was that?
It was kind of boring. You know, I wanted to be out there on the streets and stuff and do police work. I wanted to make a difference. And then sitting in the courtroom wasn't really doing it, but it got my foot in the door. Because before that, I was a reserve deputy sheriff in Lemon Grove.
Okay, so how long did you do that?
A year. Right after we graduated the academy, I got hired.
Okay.
Yeah. And so did that for a year, and then I went to the Marshals, and then I went to Chula Vista PD.
And so let's pause on that right there, because I think that if anybody is interested in going into law enforcement, I think that there's a lot of good steps in order to do that. I would say that if you're going to be, in your late teen years, I would say one of the good things that you could do is like the Explorer program.
Correct.
Where you can really kind of get involved with the police. You're going to just be a volunteer helping out. And then if you don't want to go through like the full police academy, the Reserve Police Academy was definitely a good option, just because I think due to the pure expense of the...
Oh, yeah.
I remember if you wanted to put yourself through it, I mean, it was, $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
Plus it's 6 months full time, and
Yeah.
you cannot have a job during that time.
No, especially, well, you can if you go to the full-time academy. The Reserve Academy, you kind of can still work part-time, but
that's what I'm saying. So if you were going to the full-time academy, like there's no working. No. So it's definitely, make sure you're living at home
Yeah.
if you want to go to that, and make sure your parents are going to be okay, or else you start saving now.
Yes.
But I just want to give it kind of like a good, if that is the job that you would like to go into, kind of telling people. And that's what I would love to hear from you is if somebody is interested into going into law enforcement, like what would you recommend as far as the steps? I mean, other than not getting arrested and staying out of trouble.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, just be disciplined. And if, start applying now. If you're 21 years old or 20 and a half, start applying now.
So what if you're not? What if you're that high school person that is like, okay, I really want to get into law enforcement. Somebody like yourself that may not necessarily know somebody in it. What would you say would be something that would be a good way?
You could start with the Explorer program as a teenager in high school. That's easy.
Now, does your department, do you guys have a program?
Every department does.
Okay.
It just depends. Some are bigger than others.
Okay.
But every department has an Explorer. I think they changed the name to Cadets now, instead of Explorers. But every department has it. And that's how you get your foot in the door. It's who you know.
And how, do you know at what age you can start doing that at?
15, I believe.
Okay. So really by the time... So let's say you just go 15 because you have to be 20 and a half typically to start the process.
Yeah.
So then you could really get 4 years under your belt of really getting to know people. Yeah. And that's the key to it is it may not necessarily be the job that you want or but the opportunity of the people that you're going to meet in that time frame can definitely help propel you into that full-time position. Absolutely. After the police academy, I think.
And then you build relationships after. I mean, I've met so many famous people, local delegates. I mean, I'm involved in the police union and all that stuff. There's a ton of stuff you can do in police work. And like I said, I got 4 years left and I'm retired. I'll be retired at 50 years old. Should have stayed with me, Jeremy.
See what happens.
I should have never introduced you to welding.
Ironwork. Man. I should have just stayed.
Yeah.
We could have been like Ponch and John, except just the white and white version.
Yeah,
we could have just been crime fighters.
We could have started an off-road team or something.
I know, like Cops has it now, but so, and then that's what, since you mentioned that was, growing up in East County, that was something that you were definitely always interested in was the desert.
Yes.
And so then you were into off-road racing. Now, was your dad ever into off-road racing?
Yeah, my dad built sand cars when we were kids and stuff like that. And he had friends and buddies that raced. And I did a couple of those FUDs races in a Bronco down in Plaster City. And I was just really interested in it. And I wanted to buy a quad and start racing a quad down those District 38s.
Did you ever do that?
No, but I pitted a couple times. My brother-in-law wanted me to do it. My ex-brother-in-law, he wanted me to do it with them. And I just, So anyways, So in 2006, me and my dad pulled the plug and said, let's buy a car. Let's do it. Let's do the Baja 1000. Let's do it. So we bought a car. We didn't do the Baja 1000 at first because we got into this 516 bug. And we were like, oh, boy. And then we started learning all the updates and the rules have changed. So we did a little race down at Plaster City. What was that? MDR races, yeah. So we did one of those. Our first race with that new car, we went about 500 feet and the fuel pump went out.
I remember, so I started back in 2001, started racing. And I remember that, I had the same problem. I remember going to out to go test and just being out there. I blew a torque converter within 20 miles and then a fuel pump and then vapor locking. And it's don't get me wrong. There's so many things that you just don't think about on so many different levels, and you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm just going to go out there and do this and just drive in the desert,
It's not going to break.
No, nothing breaks, But so... That was the first time, 500 feet, didn't finish, obviously.
Yeah, no, we called it quits. We sat and worked on it for a while, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just get ready for the 500. We're going to do the Baja 500 this year, and we'll worry about that race. This was just a shakeout race anyway, so we ended up getting the car ready for the Baja 500, and that's when I came to you because I needed lights. I had no lights on the car. I had no light bar, no nothing. And I said, hey, Dad, let's call Jeremy. Remember Jeremy from Ironworking Days? He's like, oh, yeah, how is that son of a bitch? How's he doing now? I said, no, Dad, he's doing really well. He's got his own garage. He's You know, he's welding. He's doing all these, calls Welltec Designs. He's got a clothing company. He's doing well. He's like, oh, shit, I'd like to see him again, you know? So I said, well, let's go down and see if he can build us a light bar. And that's when you built my light bar for me. Okay. And I put a sticker on the car and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah,
see?
Yeah.
So, and that's what's funny is that's like a whole nother, I don't even know, the clothing company, or maybe we'll see about that.
Yeah.
You know, me just wanting to start businesses and do craziness.
Yeah.
But, okay, so then how did you guys do at that race?
So the 500, my dad rolled it in the first couple miles.
So,
dude, you know, it was bad. We were upside down, and it was just, oh, shit.
Now, were you in the car with him?
Oh, yeah. I was like, God dang it, Dad, the first couple miles?
Yeah, it's got to take it.
Dude, this sea of black just came around the windows, and it was people rolling us over, right? And then we get in, the steering don't work. We broke the rack and pinion on the steering, and we got...
But you had an extra one, right?
No. We used zip ties, baling wire, and duct tape. And we made it 400 and some odd miles in that thing.
So you ended up finishing?
No. So we broke down about 10 miles before the finish. It destroyed. The steering was gone. And I sat out there for, oh my God. I thought I was going to die. There was vultures flying over. I mean, we had no food, no water. And my dad tried to save money by not getting satellite phones that year. I'm like.
So so then did you guys even have a GPS in your car?
We did. It was brand new.
Okay, because
I
was
like the first year.
I remember racing and having no GPS and just being in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, okay, we're just going to keep driving till we find some sort of course marker, because somewhere I got slightly off, or you're waiting. You're like, how did we just barely get off course? Because it's like you take one little turn the wrong way and then you're just. And
you're going through the course notes and trying to, oh, dude. Yeah, that GPS was a lifesaver.
So then 10 miles from the finish.
Yep.
That had to just suck.
Just left Ojos. We were on our way back in. We were going to finish. And it was like 7, 8 in the morning. We had like an hour to make it to the finish line, and we broke down. We sat out there forever until a couple of buddies of ours came and got us.
So now when was the next race after that then?
So the next year we got the whole car ready. I had you build another light bar for the front. I remember I had like 7 lights, Pia lights. And I had you build the front light bar for me. We had the whole front end redone. We put in power steering, disc brakes, and we changed the tranny to the 091 because it had a Type 2 in it with Type 2 CVs. And so we changed it all out. We spent some money. And I told my dad, let's do the whole series in 08. Let's go for the points. Let's be rookie of the year. Let's do it. And we did. We started out Laughlin, and then we did San Felipe. And I brought in this guy, Reed Rutherford. He's from Colorado. He's originally from Lakeside, and he moved to Colorado. And he calls me up. He says, "Hey, dude, I got some money. Like, you want to go in halves on the car? Like, I want to split everything down the middle, but I want to race quads too. So I want to get in the quad in the morning, and then I want to get in the car." I said, "All right, let's do it." So
that's like just abuse.
Oh, dude.
I mean, a 516 car is not that smooth.
No.
Like
8 inches
that's like
of travel.
my 7S truck. You know, it was like. You just feel like you got the shit beat out of you after you're done racing.
Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't imagine going from a quad into...
Oh, dude. Like San Felipe, the first 50 miles of whoops on a quad, your arms are just done.
Yeah.
So we did that for a year. And then the following year, he says, "Hey, I got this deal with Articat." Well, we were up for Rookie of the Year that year. We finished all the races except for the 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the year it was only like 650 miles. He had hit a rock or something, tore out the whole rear end. We tore all the seats out, got the torsions out and all that stuff. But the next year he got an Articat sponsor, and we were doing the UTV quads.
Okay.
That was crazy. So we did that the next year. And then after that, the car was getting rebuilt again. I got a sponsor from Fran Muncie at Bullseye Burgers and Beer. She gave me some support, and it was Roger Norman's mom, so who owns Score now. So it was great. I started a whole family again, and we started racing locally only. 2011, 2012.
And now, meanwhile, during all of this, you got married in what year?
2000.
Okay, so 2000 you got married, and then now what year was it you had your first kid?
2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just knocking it out.
Yeah.
Just
might have helped pushing and getting married a little bit.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Heather, what a sweet girl to stay with this guy for this long. Because
no kidding. Love you, babe.
Yeah. So then that is your first daughter, and she is now
in nursing school. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, man, super smart. If I was going to go back,
good kids.
If I was going to go back, that might be the job I would go and do.
Yeah. You should know a fireman, dude. Everybody should be a fireman.
I know, but that's the thing. There's so much competition because everyone does want to be a fireman.
Yeah,
you know, like girls love firemen, you know, but I'm like, okay, my wife is a nurse. How nice would it be to work 2 or 3 days a week, 12 hours a day, and she can split up her schedule where then she's got 7 days off in between work schedules. I'm like, I could do so many other things.
Oh yeah.
You know, but hindsight, it's always 2020. But I just think I like the medical field just because I feel like cars is kind of the same thing. I went on a medical missions trip to Ecuador.
Oh shit.
And I got to sit in on some open heart surgeries, and I would say that it was the most amazing thing ever. So side note, you know, me and my side time.
Cop, nurse, doctor, surgeon.
Yeah, you know like, oh man, if I'm gonna have to figure out a way to post some of these videos of if you don't know, go on my Facebook and you can look up old pictures of me just chilling. And I mean, like the heart's like right there, and the doctor was like going through the whole thing is what he's doing. I'm like, all right, sweet. Can I try this one tomorrow? You know? I mean, but it was pretty neat. All right. So me seeing a squirrel get sidetracked.
Yeah.
So what year did you call racing quits?
I would say 2013-ish. And then was going to do the Baja 500 with a guy, and that kind of fell apart. We went down and pre-ran and stuff happened. So we came back up. So I ended my career about 2013, somewhere around there.
Now, what was it? I mean, everybody says their draw to Baja is something, it's like everybody has that draw where you see the pictures, the people racing, the heartache, the disappointment, the just grit to, try to race this. I mean, how many people do this every year that may not even have they're just like, I just want to do it. I want to race the Baja 500. What was it for you that made you want to do it?
Well, like you, we grew up in the desert, in the river. I mean, that's all we did. I mean, my brother raced motocross over at Verona and Paula, and I loved off-road racing. I loved anything racing, actually. But the money, it stopped making it fun. It's a lot of money to race, and you need support.
No, and I want to say that was the biggest thing when I stopped was it was draining. It was just like, how much money am I dumping into this? Yes, I'm having fun, but is it like you get down there, and I mean, I remember, getting 7 miles in a race and going, and you're just done.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, and you're like, how much it cost me to get here and do all this. And, I mean, even in the prep, it was like something that would it's just that one rock that ruins your day.
Yeah, one rock. It's true. It didn't help. My dad had a house in Ensenada, and he grew up down there and went to Mexico a lot too and watched the races in the 70s and 80s and stuff. So having a house down there helped. But, man, one little thing and end your whole day.
And that's where I think I liked pre-running more than was just because then it was like, you're going down, you drive for 40 miles, you stop, you're like, hey, this is pretty, I'm going to have a beer.
Yeah, a taco, yeah.
Yeah, oh, here's anher taco cart. You're like, man, I stopped at 8 taco carts today.
Yep.
But I think that's what then I, enjoyed more was going down there to just, and people always ask like, oh, how was Baja? Did you ever have problems? I'm like, man, all the years going down there, I never had.
Me neither.
Ever had an issue with anything. I never got into trouble down there. I remember pre-running and just being in the middle of nowhere and coming up on like a Federale checkpoint in the middle of the desert.
Crazy.
And they would just be like, okay, see you later. Have a good day.
Yep.
You give them some stickers.
Yeah.
And they're like
some monsters. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that was, I definitely have a good time down there. I haven't been back in a while. But now, now at the same time, like you also now that family.
Yeah. I mean, you've watched my kids grow up and social media and being around them and stuff. And so my middle daughter, Brooke, she got into BMX racing, and I kind of went in there with the Baja, off-road type mentality into BMX racing. and she just had a talent. So, you know, when she was about 6 years old, we just went out to the old Cactus Park in Lakeside, and she started racing, and she won her first race. So I was like, sweet, it's in the blood, you know, because I just came off of a high winning the Prim race a couple years ago. So I'm like, yeah, it's in the blood, you know. So, so she started racing, and a little factory team picked her up, and she started out a little trophy team, and then a factory team picked her up. Factory Intense, they make mountain bikes now.
Okay.
And a couple of years doing that, there was a local coach in Lakeside. His son was an Olympian, and he rode for Haro Bikes. And he said, "Hey, how would you like to ride for Haro Bikes?" I said, "Heck yeah,
I mean,
Haro, dude.
I know that's like bringing it back. I mean,
dude,
how long has Haro been around?
Oh man, so Bob Haro started it, and Bob Haro's from Spring Valley, so I think he started it, God, in the 70s. I can't remember what 70.
I mean, because I remember being a kid and just being like, "Oh, I want a Haro
Oh
bike."
yeah, dude.
You know, I mean, that was just it was the bike. And even Austin, you know, being the young guy, he still is like, "Yeah, dude, I wanted a Haro."
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's crazy. They're great up there. They're in San Diego. They're in Vista. I built a huge relationship with them. We just had a race in Phoenix last weekend. She did very well. She qualified for the Worlds. She's won national titles for her age. She's been in the top 3 every single year. She's won numerous state finals and Gold Cup finals. And I mean, just a ton of stuff. She finished 7th in the world a couple of years ago at the World Finals. She was number 7 in the world, which is crazy.
Now, didn't you guys go over to Europe or somewhere?
We were supposed to.
Okay.
We just couldn't get the funding, yeah. So this year's in Texas. It's in Houston, the World Finals.
Okay.
And, yeah, she'll be representing Factory Haro, and she's got a good coach, Dale Holmes. I don't know if you guys remember Dale Holmes from the 80s. He was a huge guy from Britain that raced, and so it's her manager. And so BMX is crazy. It's just all that stuff when we were kids is coming back, you know, Redline and GT and, you know, Diamondback, and Mongoose is coming back now. So it's crazy. And you see all the old guys from the 80s that used to do all the freestyle stuff, and it's cool.
Right. And what I love hearing about all this is just how two people can almost start like on the very similar paths, but yet go two different routes. Because then at that same time, while that's going on for you, like you said, I started my own business, and it was a small business, and we were just doing, welding, building pre-runners. And it was like back in the day, it was just all about Rangers. You know,
I remember your Rangers. Man.
Every Ranger, it didn't even have to have a lift on it, but it had fiberglass fenders.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have to get Jason McNeil in here who owns Fiberworks just to talk about that, because it was like, I remember you couldn't even drive through East County, you know, without seeing, you know, a dozen fiberglass Rangers. And I'll never forget, some ignorant person once put in it was like the Daily Californian, how the white fenders were a representation that they were in a white supremacist group.
I think Channel 8 came out and did a thing on that, right? And they were interviewing kids in Santee and Lakeside and all that. Remember that?
What? Like, what? Like, could you just be any dumber? Yeah. And I want to say the media hasn't got any smarter over it since then. No. You know, like it's still right up there. They're like, if that fad happened again, where just, you know, because you definitely don't see it as much in East County, you know, anymore. But I'm like, if it did, it would totally get the same kind of, you know, negative publicity of something like that. But, you know, I mean, I know that was a big part of our business then was, you know, just, you know, people buying, and we were installing these fiberglass fenders because it was that look, you know, and they maybe couldn't afford the rest of it, but just wanted to do that, you know, and during that whole time, and I wanted to bring this up because we had totally forgotten about this. Was you talked about your dad rolling the bug,
yeah.
And I have to say that back in the day, our police academy graduation party.
We're going back to the police academy.
Yeah, we're talking about rolling things and just me completely losing talent, or maybe this was before my racing a talent had ever been established, so it was totally okay. They had what was it, like a resort? It was kind of like
it was this girl. She wanted to be an El Cajon cop, and she had like babysitting this house in Campo, and we went out there for our party. And she had golf carts. It was a huge property.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lake there and everything.
It was crazy.
And I remember it being tiered, like they were going to build other houses on this property.
Right.
So they had this like Mercedes-Benz like 6-seater golf cart. And so we were all driving this golf cart.
Alcohol probably was involved.
I doubt that.
We were trying to be good.
So I'm driving this golf cart, and I think we found this spot that you could like power slide the golf cart. So, of course, there's 6 or at least 8 people in there not wearing seatbelts. And,
well, the dude in there looked like Lou Diamond Phillips, from La Bamba.
Right.
He looked just like him. Then he had those designer jeans on. And
what was his name?
He's probably going to hopefully listen to this and he'll be like, you dummies, my name is this. I forget his name. Anyways, he looked like Lou Diamond Phillips. He had his hair slicked back.
It would almost be a combination between Lou Diamond Phillips and Mario Lopez.
Yes.
Like dude was always dressed
to the T.
So we're doing these power slides. And we probably did too many, so the sand was like, it was starting to like brush off the surface. So you were getting to a point where it was getting a little sticky, and we grabbed a little bit too much traction, and we completely, I rolled it.
Yes, you did. And you screwed up his designer jeans.
He was pissed because he's like, dude, my jeans are ripped. Meanwhile, I want to say like somebody else had like cut themselves.
Yeah.
And, it was nothing like, we all just got up and laughed. And it was probably like one of those Mexican things where they just all roll it back over. And you get back in, and of course it starts because it's battery operated, Dude,
I think you just parked it. You're like, oh shit, don't say nothing.
So I think we did. I think we just were like, okay, we're done. And we went and parked it.
And he talked about his jeans all night. My jeans, man.
God, I wish I could remember his name. I remember. What was the other? Matt, wasn't it Matt? The kid from La Jolla.
Oh,
dude, his
what
dad.
was his name?
His dad was a judge.
Oh, I forget. You remember Nate Hall though?
Yeah,
Nate worked with me. He just retired.
Okay, because I still see Kevin.
I saw. You see,
he works for El Cajon PD, and I've seen a couple other random people, just in the, and they're like, oh hey, they're like, I remember because we were doing some work for El Cajon PD and doing stuff, and they're like, man, I never thought you'd be doing your own business. I'm like,
Well, no, it's crazy. It's like with you. I mean, we talk a lot about me, but with you, it was crazy. I just all of a sudden started seeing this Welltec Designs everywhere. And I saw your little emblem, and I'm like, God. And then I saw something. I'm like, that's freaking Jeremy's company. That crap is everywhere.
Yeah, it was all over East County.
Oh, dude.
I mean, I think we did a good job blowing it up back in the day.
Yeah.
It was definitely.
But when I saw you in the van.
Yeah, the 983 van.
Yeah, I saw.
This is taking it back. So all of you people.
The black van.
Dude, the black Ford van, we still have it.
Oh,
it's still the same van. I keep saying we're going to do something. We bought that van in like 2001 to just haul clothing around.
Right.
And then also as far as a chase vehicle for our race truck.
Right.
I mean, that was the whole
purpose of it,
Yeah, purpose of that.
Well, then I think I saw your clothes. Weren't your clothes in No Fear?
So then our clothing got in quite a few stores in the mall. Yeah. So in like No Fear, there was stores, we were branching out into like Arizona. Everything was going really good. I think at the same time, this will be another funny one. So at the same time, I also started a limousine company. So
that wasn't lifted though.
No, the limousine wasn't lifted. Yeah. But then that's what we were talking about. So I had the limousine at Supercross, and this had to be like circa 2003.
Yeah, probably.
And we had our motorhome and a giant trailer. And we were totally guerrilla style because we could definitely not afford to have a real booth at Supercross.
No.
So we were just partying in the pits, or down there. And, it was just shenanigans. We had a giant helium ball that said 983 on it that we had put up. And this thing probably went up like 300 feet. And then we got that. We definitely got regulated. They made us take that down. It lit up. I mean, it was like...
Dude, that thing was huge.
It was like the best free advertising that we could possibly get. I mean, talk about drawing in, people. And you know, and that's one part about business. It was just like coming up with different crazy creative ways to try to get your name out there with, you know, little expense. I mean, that's what we were all about. And that's where, so then I want to bring it to like, say like 2008 for me, that was when the economy just took a shit.
Oh yeah.
And the biggest problem is that, so at that time I had Welltec Designs, I had 983 Clothing, and then I had Extreme Limousines. And the problem that I did, that not being a smart business person at all, like I was just having fun. I mean, at this 2000, I mean, I was not even, I'm 27 years old. Like I didn't know shit, you know, like I was just like, this was never meant to be a business, you know, and that's when you talk about things that happen or businesses that began. So many businesses begin by accident. But that's, you know, that economy hit, and I didn't realize that all these businesses that I had created was all discretionary income.
Right.
It was like, if you don't have money, you're not spending it on any of those things. And it took a huge hit. And we kind of touched base in that in Rachel and I's podcast about, you know, from then I ended up closing down Welltec Designs in 2008.
Remember that?
And just started doing stuff mobile. I had put my tools in my trailer and was kind of doing stuff mobile. And that's when I came back to your dad, and went to his house, and he had his Crossfire. Is that what it was?
Yeah, the Crossfire. He still has it.
Okay. And he was like, I want a roll bar in this thing.
Yeah.
And I built him a roll bar in his garage. So I was doing like mobile fabrication. Like,
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it was like, I'll come to you. I couldn't afford a shop at that time. I'd also lost my house. I'd also gotten divorced.
That's right.
So it was definitely like a huge, like what you would say, a pitfall. You know, I mean, sometimes you gotta, you know, everyone says, you know, like, oh, it's not, you know, it wasn't bad luck. It was just a lot of lessons learned. And I think it was from those lessons that definitely made me better in business today, because it was like, oh shit. Like I went from, you know, owning a house to having a successful business.
Limos.
Yeah, limos,
girls,
partying. Like
lots
a lot of
girls,
things.
More girls.
A lot of things that were, you know, and that's what I want to say this. A lot of people will put this persona on Instagram of like how great this party lifestyle is.
Right.
And I'm not going to knock it. Like, yes, it is, but how sustainable is it? And what is the benefit that you are gaining? Now, Dan Bazarian, like, I'm not going to say, like, dude, you don't look like you're having a shitload of fun. Like, don't get me wrong.
How do we get on his shows, man?
Dude, how do we get
his house?
Just go. Can we do a podcast live from your house, Dan, or your yacht? On. You know, I mean, hey, a day in the life, you know, Welltec Designs meets Dan Bazarian. I don't know. It'd have to be, it'd be careful. You wind up divorced after that one.
Yeah,
you know?
you would.
You know,
yes, you would.
You would just see so much stuff. You'd be like, babe, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what'd you want me to do?
You know, like, I had 8 girls' butts in my face. Like, I'm sorry, you know? But no, I mean, and you know, I mean, it was fun, and don't get me wrong, but like you know, there is a, you know, you can't, I mean, I guess you can, if the money doesn't run out, like, yes, but for me in business, it was more of a, you know, one thing kind of fed another, you know, the same way that I would say that Welltec Designs definitely feeds Growing Up Garage. Our message is a little bit different in Growing Up Garage, is how we're really trying to promote kids and the education of kids and growing up in the garage. And that's where I would really love to even talk to you more about. And, you know, Brooke is truly, because that's one thing with Brooke, like she's in the garage helping you work
all the time,
on the bike.
Yeah. They were as kids too, man. They were on the end of the grinder. I mean, they've burnt their fingers on my heater, and I mean, just, you know, getting metal shavings in their feet, and, you know, so, and they're girls,
right?
Like 3 girls. So, and little Courtney, my littlest one, yeah, they all help.
And see, and that's what's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, like I would say that family bond that, you know, becomes, that's gained in that, which is extremely important. But that's what you know, when it comes to Growing Up Garage, and it's funny because, you know, I look at, from the business that I, like, okay, I'm going to start a clothing company because, and I'm going to make the tiniest clothes to get these girls, like, 'cause why not? To now,
that sells.
And especially now, I look at some of the ways that girls dress now, and I'm like, what?
I know.
There was a funny dude. I love some of this stuff. So now TikTok, TikTok is huge. And there was a comedian. I was watching him, and he said, one thing I do on TikTok is I play the game 14 or hot. So he's like,
he's like in trouble for that.
He's like, I'm on my following feed, and he's like, this girl pulls up, and I go, or no, it was like 14 or not, or something. He was like, because the way that the girls dress, and he's like, it's so difficult to tell these days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was just funny, and I'm going to totally screw it up. But the way he was going about it was telling me was hilarious. Anyways, that's a good lead into what you are doing now for. Are we allowed to say what police department you work for?
Sure. Yeah.
So
we're recruiting.
So working for the Chula Vista Police Department.
Yes.
And now tell me what you're doing for Chula Vista.
I currently just left the school resource officer position. So I work high schools. I work with kids. And going back to growing up to garage, a lot of these kids don't have trades. They're not teaching them in schools anymore.
Because they've eliminated that from pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. No metal shops, no wood shops, none of that stuff. All that stuff is closed.
So now what in that, what are kids involved in?
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's important for my kids to know how to turn a wrench. I want them to know, girls or not. It's super important. You always have to have something to fall back on. So say maybe I didn't want to do police work. I had ironworking to fall back on or something different. I don't know. But the kids just don't want to get their hands dirty these days unless their parents are kind of mechanically inclined themselves.
And now being a school resource officer, let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the biggest problems that you see in,
the weed epidemic? I mean, marijuana is just like, candy these days. Every kid are vaping, all that stuff. It's bad, but there's good kids out there. It's not every kid. It's so easy to get. I mean, when we were growing up, it was beer,
Yeah.
High school, you could find beer. You were don't go near the weed, go towards the beer.
Yeah, like I never ever had a desire to smoke weed.
No.
Like it was just like I mean, but like what you're saying though, it was totally like, oh yeah, I got these 2 beers and I'm gonna share them with 4 of my friends.
That's so funny and so innocent.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But now, how long did you do that for now?
I did that for 7 years, and so I've been with Chula Vista PDs for 21 years. I just got promoted to a supervisor, so I'm out in the field again. I'm back in patrol, so.
Back in the cop car.
Back in the grind.
Now, are those black and white?
Yeah, they're Explorers.
Ah.
They got rid of the Crown Vics, and then they went to the Caprices. Now they're Explorers.
How do you like them?
They're all right. They're slow.
Are they?
The Caprices were rocket ships, man. Those things are fast. Yeah, they're okay. They're big. They're roomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get them sometimes here for doing random craziness to them.
Yeah.
We just did 26 sheriff transport vehicles.
Wow.
So for the jails and everything, for them to transport people around.
Yeah.
So we just outfitted 26 of transits. So we had 1 million transits here for a while. The parking lot was craziness. So lost my train of thought. Jeez, I get start thinking about one thing and I forget. So now, what would you say? Hey, so I'm just trying to set the mood here, Tom, so.
Well, Jeremy.
Well, Tommy, so, and that's the thing. So now being able to retire, like you were saying, in a couple of years. So definitely the police force has gave you a great career, allowed you to do what you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
Both, family and also for fun wise. What would you say is we've talked about this, like if you were to go back though, in hindsight, like, do you think that you would still want to, what is the biggest obstacles or what do you see like, as far as like being a police officer, like, would you go back and do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I would. It's definitely changed over the past 20 years. It's, everybody's watching. So you always have to be on your toes and you always have to be proper. You can't, disrespect anybody. You can't, demoralize anything or bring shame to your department, and everything's being recorded and watched and double watched. I mean, the technology now is crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's changed. I can't wait to retire, but I know that sounds funny, but yeah.
I can't wait to retire too. I got like 3 more years.
I don't want to wish my life away, but I want to get into something a little bit different,
And now what would you like to do now?
Get back into some sort of racing, or some of the things that you're doing, or just anything, working for a bike company or something, get my hands back in, turning a wrench again. It's fun. I did it as a hobby, and maybe something after police work, do something like that. Yeah.
Now, how many more years? Now, how long can Brooke continue to race for?
She can race. It's an Olympic sport, so she can race up until, competitively till probably 28, 29 years old.
Now, is she going to try out for the Olympic team?
Yeah, she was on the junior Olympic team last year, and kind of it evolved into different ideas. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to build these kids up for the Olympics from like 14 up. So if you ever get a chance to look at a Supercross BMX track, go to Chula Vista Training Center. It's the Olympic Training Center. It's got an 8-meter hill, so it's just racing. It's not freestyle. It's not jumping. It's not jumping on picnic tables and flips. It's just flat out racing. You pedal as fast as you can in one lap, and there's all kinds of turns and whoops, and they call them rollers in BMX, but they're whoops, and there's razorbacks and tabletops, and it's just like a Supercross track, but it's BMX, and you pedal. And the hill is insane.
And that's crazy to think that at 14, they're already starting to train some of these people, kids.
They actually picked her up when she was 13, and she was the first 13-year-old girl to ever go down that 8-meter hill.
So now, generally speaking, if you were to look at the field of people, because she's not racing against just girls, right? Or is she?
She can. She can do both. Yeah.
Okay. So then now in most of these races, is it got boys and girls, or is it separated, or what?
Yeah, there's a novice, intermediate, expert level, and the amateur level. And then after you turn 19 as a girl, you can turn pro. And then you're racing against people that are Olympians. We have a silver medalist that lives right here in Chula Vista. And she travels all over the world. She's a BMX multi-world champion. We also have a guy from Lakeside. He's multi-world champion. He actually got the whole shot in the Olympics in 2012 and almost won it. So local San Diego is just, with racing, it's crazy, all the different aspects and how many champions there are here. But yeah, I mean, 2024 is hopeful for us. She's training hard for it.
That's crazy. I know we built a van for Brian Lopes.
Oh, okay.
Which when he first came in, I was like,
yeah,
had no idea. But I guess he's won a couple races in his lifetime.
Yeah, so all you BMXers that want your vans done, come see Jeremy.
Yeah, because your guys need vehicles to transport.
Yes.
All of your bikes to keep them safe, because they are ridiculously expensive now.
Yeah, they're all carbons and titanium. They're $5,000 for a BMX bike. If you want to be competitive.
I'm like, you could buy a bike with an engine in them, and they're called motorcycles.
Yep.
For that same
$5,000, dude, for a BMX bike. That's if everything's custom. Of course, you and we want everything. And then I got to buy double parts because we got that off-road racing mentality. We want a part for every part.
Oh, yeah, because whatever part you don't have, that part is guaranteed to break.
Yep.
So craziness.
Yeah.
So in all of this work and playing, so you guys are going to go on 20 years being married this year. When is your anniversary?
April 29th.
Don't forget that. Oh,
April 29th.
I almost just totally screwed
No, because her
you.
birthday's the 28th. So yeah.
Heather, I tried to call him out on that, see if he was going to get caught. So 20 years this year.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say has been the biggest thing? Because one thing that we're really touching on in this is the balance between work and your home life. With then, we get crazy and decide to add racing into it.
Yeah.
Like if you were to think like how has it kept you going?
Well, I got a good job, and being there, you get vacation time and stuff like that. And I got a great wife. I mean, she supports me in everything. I mean, she was there for thick and thin. I've been with her since 1993, and she's, yeah, we've been together a long time. And so she supported me, her family, my family. My dad taught me to be a tough guy and work it out. Don't quit. You can't quit on things. So, my mom was insanely like that. So I try to instill that in my kids. I tell them to get out there, no video games, and I just have a lot of support. And it's, I can take a week off of work and still get paid. It's part of the benefits. You're not going to make a ton of money as a policeman, but you're going to get those benefits like that to balance your work life with your kids and
I think I want to touch on that because that is something that I will say that definitely in my first marriage, I didn't learn, and I worked way too many hours.
Right.
And I saw that's it. I mean, I worked too many hours, did not take the vacations. And luckily during that time, I also didn't have kids though.
Yeah.
But I can see that is the one thing I always laugh about would be like vacation time. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I want to say that whether you're thinking about, starting your own business or going to work for somebody else, because people are always like, oh, I don't want to work for the man. I don't want to work, but there is not to mention the medical.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is great. And here's one big thing that most people don't ever think about is the retirement.
Yes.
Like they're like, oh, I want to make X amount of dollars right now. And you're like, okay, X amount of dollars right now is great if you're going to be putting it into some sort of retirement
Correct.
In order to save it. But unless you're disciplined, that disciplined entrepreneur, you're like, oh, I don't have money for it right now. And I know for me, I didn't. I always, that'll come later.
Yeah.
That'll come later. But I think that that's one thing that's great about working for the man.
Right.
Are those benefits. Because now how many weeks off the year?
I get 8 weeks off a year. And
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Yep.
Now, is that like over time? Do you get more and more time? Or is
yeah,
that just...
and then if you work overtime, you can put it on what they call comp time, and you can build up another 3 weeks off. So you could be off for 11, 12 weeks a year if you really wanted to.
Okay, see, that in itself, like you say, like that is going to keep the wife happy right there.
Yes.
Being able to have that additional time off. Now, most of the time, I mean, I know Heather did work or does work.
She does now for the school district, yeah.
So it's like, but a lot of that time in the beginning, in the younger kids' age, she was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah,
right?
she was, because I was working those crazy graveyard hours, and I'll go back when I was young, I didn't have that much time off. You only got like 2 or 3 weeks of time off a year.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. But once you build seniority, you start getting more.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's huge. And I want people to, take a lesson and learn from that. It's like, you look at the short-term gain. That's what everybody's in right now is the short-term game. Like, if I do this right now, what am I going to gain from it? Oh, like it's not that much, but they don't have the ability to look that farther out to be like, okay, well, if I do this, I'll be able to retire in X amount of years. And I'll tell you, that was one big thing for me. When I started my own business, I was never looking at the end game. I was looking at like, yeah, I want to start my own business. I've always wanted my own business. So it was definitely a driving factor, but I just, like, don't get me wrong. I would love to retire in 3 years. What the hell would I do? I mean,
you'd find something to do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I would just have the raddest hobby shop, and me and Caden would be just cruising racing.
Well, to give you a reference point, when I retire, it'll be like 90% of my pay, what I'm making right now. So you could go get a minimum wage job and make more money retired. And those are the things. And then,
all right, so we're going to hire him for minimum wage to come work for here at
Sign me up,
Welltec
bro.
Designs.
Yeah, sign me up.
We're going to be having a good old time.
Well, like I tell the young guys that's come in, we have a 457 plan, which is like a 401k, but it's for public safety. And I tell them, just put $25 a paycheck in your 457 plan or 401k. And before you know it, in 20 years, that thing will be sitting there like $50,000 and $60,000.
Tony Robbins, I was just listening to a podcast on him, and he was saying that if you put away, I think it was $50 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. If you start when you're 18, from the time until you're 28, it might have been $300 per month. If you do it only for 10 years. Okay.
Right.
And you invest that into like a retirement. By the time you are 55 and ready to retire, you will have $1.9 million in a retirement.
Yes.
Like,
absolutely
now don't get me wrong. In 30 years, 1.9 million is not going to be worth what it is now with inflation and all of that. So you're going to need more than that. But just showing you that simple math of compounding interest. So I think that that's something that is, super important to kids these days that are all in this short game.
Yeah.
So you've done the long game. You're going to be able to retire, still make great money. I'll take your retirement paycheck and just goof off and do that. Brooke is going to obviously continue to race.
Right.
And now your youngest daughter.
She's in cheer, just like yours, cheer and tumbling. Yeah.
Cheer life,
Yeah.
So
Expensive.
we
Dads, don't let your daughters cheer.
and now my oldest wants to do horseback riding with cheer.
Good luck.
So I'm like, dude, where is this money tree growing? Like where did you plant it somewhere and you're not telling me?
You're going to go back to 2008.
Oh my gosh, seriously. I'm like, so we just went to Las Vegas Nationals. They did awesome. They got first place in cheer, and then they got 2 best overall and then first place in their division. So that was.
Wait till high school. They do it competitively in high school too. Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about supporting them and what they do. But then that's where we had to do the math breakdown the other day and talk about, so she was like, all right, well, where do you want to be? She's like, well, I want to be a professional horse jumper.
Right.
So then I'm like, all right, Google what a professional horse jumper makes.
Right.
And it was like $29,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so being a professional horse jumper, let's do the math on now what it's going to cost you to live. Let's break it down like real world numbers and show you okay, basically you're going to be on a top ramen, that's all you're going to eat because then you still got to board the horse. And then it was like, well, how much does a horse cost? And,
right.
And then the vet bills. And I just encourage people not to shatter dreams, but I will also be super realistic and be like, okay, if you want to do that, that's a great hobby as racing was for you and I. If you would have relied on racing to survive.
I could tell you what though, I would be broke, but I tell you what, nowadays, social media is the key.
Yes. If
you got to do that.
No, I mean, there's so many people that you don't even have to be good at what you do.
No.
But you have 1 million followers and you can have company endorsements and things of that nature. It's totally changed from the time in which we were doing it to now, because I even look at okay, if I had social media when I was trying to grow my clothing company back in the day, that would have been huge. That would have been a game changer in itself.
Sure.
So all of you people that, have social media to grow your business. I mean, we use it a ton. Obviously, we're sitting up here in the attic doing this podcast to do it. But I think that that's something that's huge, to make sure you're doing it. I mean, that's why, Caden's 6 years old and has a YouTube channel and an Instagram.
Yeah.
Just because it's you can't not have it if you want to be any professional anything, I think.
Yeah, you have to have every aspect, Twitter, Instagram, all that, Snapchat. You got to have it all. And Brooke's manager has taught me a ton. He's got probably 5 different accounts on each social media. I mean, it's just crazy. And just people follow him from all over the country, and then they start following my kid, and they start following me, and then I'm starting to learn Instagram stories and kind of helping her out with that. But
see, that's why I just had to hire somebody younger.
So my kids are teaching me everything, and so is the manager, and it's just been crazy. So I'm getting a little bit better, but I don't want to embarrass her either. She wants to post first, and she doesn't want me to post embarrassing things and stuff like that. So.
That's the great part about being a dad, though,
I
mean, that's one thing I tell Kira, I'm going to buy a short school bus and drop you off at school and lift it and do it all crazy and drop you off at school every day. And she's like, oh, I would hate it. I wouldn't even get a ride from you. I'm like, the problem is I would show up from school in this and all of your friends would think that it's the raddest thing ever. And you would think that it's completely dumb, and all your friends would just think that it's rad.
Yeah, put a TV in it. Something.
Yeah,
roll out a skateboard ramp out the back or something.
Got to have something fun. Maybe that's our SEMA build for 2021. No, but that's, I think that's super important, talking about just how the evolution of things has definitely come around to it. And so if you're interested in, becoming a cop, you're going to be how old when you retire?
50.
50.
50 years old.
Dude, can you believe? I remember going to the river back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember when you first got your Ultra boat.
Yeah,
man.
I did. I had a 97 Ultra boat. Bought that baby brand new.
Oh, and I thought you were just crazy, but I loved going to the river I'm like, dude, because I had a designated driver.
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, just going to the river all the time back in the day.
Oh, dude, we had good times.
Now the river's completely changed for me.
I got a new boat.
Did you?
Yeah, I bought a used one.
Oh, nice.
With 21-foot Advantage. It's a 91.
Dude, lake days, man.
Yeah.
We go out to El Cap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so close. Like that's the whole thing. I'm like, I love going out to the lake and just because I don't get cell phone reception out there, so it's just nothing. I actually get to completely unplug. That was like King of the Hammers. We just went to King of the Hammers.
Oh, cool.
For 3 or 4 days, and that was fun because no cell phone reception.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, it's funny how now I look forward to no cell phone reception.
I know, right?
I'm like, I'm not posting anything. I'm not getting any calls from them to call me at work and tell me that what's going wrong or anything like that.
Well, if you ever need somebody to ride shotgun, give me a call.
Which one?
Any of them.
So that's what Caden keeps bugging me, and who knows, maybe we're going to have to do it once he gets a little bit older, is he definitely wants to race Baja. He's like, man, I want to do it. So I think, in the future, I definitely see that as gonna have to go back to racing.
Yeah.
In a bigger vehicle again. I mean, he's racing the go-karts. And now he just started it. Yeah. In the dwarf cars, and now a Razor 170 now.
Oh boy.
That's coming, but I think you have to be 8 in order to do that. So right now he's just driving it to get used to it. But we keep saying by the time he's 8, we got to look at the Mint 400. We went out there with one of our friends, Steve Oligas, and his son Jack was 11 and was the youngest finisher at the Mint 400 to finish. He finished 3rd. So I'm like, we're going to have to go out there and see if we can beat our buddy
you
Jack.
got to beat it. Come on.
So, what parents do. But no, I think it was great having you in here and talking about just our crazy lives and how they've taken 2 different routes. But
yeah,
Welltec Designs is here today because this freaking knucklehead introduced me into welding.
You're welcome, world.
It was, man, I could have just been a cop and retiring in a couple of years.
You're good. You're doing what you like.
No, I'm having a great time. I can't complain.
Not getting shot at.
Yeah,
Little minor details.
I mean, some of my customers say they want to kill me sometimes, maybe, they're like, my van's not done yet. I'm going to kill you. I'm like, all right, whatever.
When I'll retire, I'll be your security guard.
There we go. I could only imagine the trouble that you and I would get into, you coming back like us on a regularly basis.
Dude, your wife would chase me out of here. She'd be like, get that guy out of here.
Your wife would be like, I'm not letting you hang out with Jeremy.
She said that once or twice.
Yeah. See? Like, he's trouble. Like, stay away from him.
No, babe. He's an entrepreneur. He's making all this money. He's a smart guy. Those are just stories.
Yeah, never, ever happened. I say I could never, ever run for politics because the shit that they would pull up, they'd be like, yeah.
Yep.
They'd be like, nope, sorry. So, no, but, thank you very much. It's been fun.
No, I appreciate it.
I like coming in, just chatting with people and just talking about the good old days. Yeah. That's how you know when you're getting old, when you're like,
dude, we're old. We're like old guys.
I know, but I just, how like when people are like, for me, I'm like, I know that on the outside I appear old, but on the inside, I'm like, I'm still like 24.
Yeah.
I'm just having a good time. Because same thing. I'm 45 now. When I thought of 45, I would be like, dude, that's like so old. Yeah. I'm sure Austin being 20 is a 45. You can't even imagine a 45, like that's just so old. That's like your dad, huh? Yeah. We're just.
Well, I started the CrossFit stuff, and my sister opened up a gym down the street here, and I did all that CrossFit stuff, man. Those kids in there are killing me.
Dude, I couldn't even imagine I would. Yeah, because you've done good. You've lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Too many donuts, guys.
Donuts. No, we moved on to breakfast burritos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're modern cops now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, so I lost a bunch of weight doing CrossFit. My sister opened up a gym, CrossFit Pride, a few years ago, and then she sold it. But yeah, my brother works out there, and
I have friends that try to get me to do it. And I'm like, dude, no way. I get my ass kicked.
Slow. Nah. People, the misconception is I got to get in shape before I go there. Nah, you don't.
Oh, well, no, I would never think that. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going there to get in shape.
Exactly.
Because I eat whatever the hell I want.
Well, I'll spend too much time drinking beer and tacos in Mexico. So.
See, my wife teases me still. She's like, you haven't even lost the baby weight from the first kid because I was buff. Before kids, I was just hitting the gym.
Yeah.
But I was, didn't have a real job. I was showing up at your dad's house to build cages, and then I'd go to the gym for 2 hours, so that was a good time.
Yeah.
So if you guys have questions, let me know. You guys can always comment on any of these podcasts. If you guys have questions, would like to know more, we can be sure to let you know. I can have Tom, answer his questions, and we got 5 more years, and then maybe, who knows where the podcast goes. We're just going to have him in here full time.
That could be
hustling, awesome. Just who knows where this will go. Yeah. But thanks again for taking time out of your busy day. Good luck. And while you're here, for the 4 people watching this, Haro, let's give a shout out to all of Brooke's sponsors.
Yeah. It'd be great. So Haro Bikes, Dale Holmes Racing, Divide Clothing, WD-40, Click, Tioga Tires, and ODI Grips, and KMC Chains. So kind of related to off-road.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And we know how important sponsors are in all of this. And I'll definitely include all these sponsors in the link down below and say, big thanks, because they're supporting the kids. And that's what it all comes down to. Our big thing with Growing Up Garages here is to get more people involved, because we want to get out there to more kids and, get more kids involved in things that they may not otherwise have the ability to do. So I think that's what's huge.
Huge support.
So that's it, guys. I'm done. I never got to play with it. Austin added a new one to it too. But this was the best one ever. That is Caden's lap. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's one of the other ones. But anyways, guys, we're going to wrap this up here in the attic. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what other things that you guys would like us to talk about on our podcast, what other guests you would like up in here. So a little bit more on how Welltec Designs began. And we're talking like began. That was like the grass, before the grass was even growing. That was the seeds being planted. But big thanks to Tom for coming in here, hanging out, and wish him the best of luck. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And that's it, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. We are out of here.